Well, hello, welcome to my weekly live stream. Today I want to talk about something amazing inside of your nose. And I thought before I start talking about that, I want to tell you a little bit of my story about pranayama. So pranayama is a really amazing practice, and I love the practice of the breath. I've been doing it for many, many years, probably, I don't know, getting close to 30 years now. And I've had an interesting relationship with pranayama. So when I was in India back in the early 90s, there was a lot of warning around pranayama. There was this idea of like, you have to be really careful. Be careful with, for example, your diet, what you eat. When you do pranayama, you have to be careful not to practice too much pranayama. It can cause problems. Some people, they would say, some people have to be careful of pranayama because it can cause mental imbalance. So there was all this stuff, this kind of like scary stuff around pranayama that I took in, and I wondered why that was there, and I didn't really know. But you just heard things from teachers, so you thought, well, be careful. And then when I started studying yoga in the States, which was after, well, I studied a little bit here, but not that much pranayama before I went to Asia. But when I came back to Asia and I studied pranayama in the States, people would say things like, no, pranayama is not dangerous. That's just, kind of myth but it's not true. There's no evidence for that. Nadi Shodhana is good for everything, those sorts of stories. And there's plenty of yoga styles where you do heavy pranayama at the beginning of practice or during practice. Lots of, styles I've studied where you pause your breath while you're doing asanas, things like that. So, where was the reality with that? So I felt like, well, one thing that happened to me is I went to a long pranayama retreat or intensive, and during that time, I personally had an experience. I got dizzy after pranayama. I had a little vertigo. I had like some heart palpitations, and I thought, well, this is really interesting. Why am I having this reaction to pranayama? And so I started really exploring, and what I came to was this idea that it's not just about technique, it's about the internal experience of that technique. And so I really started getting into and exploring the sensations, the feelings of pranayama. Like, what does it feel like when the breath comes in just here? That's one of those Buddhist techniques, I think, where you're feeling the sensations right here of the breath. What does it feel like inside your nose when you are practicing pranayama? Like, what are the cool sensations in here? What about in sinuses or up in here in the sinuses? And then what's the experience in the back of the nose? Those are all different sensations. In the back of the throat, right? All different sensations. So I started, I was still practicing pranayama. I was doing particularly ratios. I practice ratios every day. So, but you can kind of like, with a Western mind, you can kind of approach pranayama like, I'm going to do a greater ratio today than I did yesterday, or whatever. Like, I can do a 10 counts in, 10 counts pause, 10 counts out, 10 counts pause ratio. I would be like, I could do that, That's how I had first approached ratio breathing and other pranayamas. Like, they're supposed to be really smooth and subtle and long, so I'm really going to go for it. Olympic breathing, kind of like my type A personality. So I realized, like, that is totally the wrong approach. There should never be an Olympics of pranayama, ever, because the pranayama, the rule of pranayama, the most important rule is less is more, and I learned that from my teachers. I learned that, from Gary Kravso. Always, one of his rules is always practice less than what you think you can practice. Do less. So less is more is such an important rule in pranayama. And hopefully there will never be an Olympics. If you want to be like David Blaine and hold your breath for 17 minutes underwater, that is magic or tricks, or, that is extreme sort of pushing your body. But if you want to use pranayama as a way to mediate your stress response or balance your autonomic nervous system, then the approach has to be less is more, less is more, less is more. And so less is more combined with interoception for me started to really produce results, started to be like, oh, as I just explore this space in the nasal cavity, I start to find the really interesting effects on the autonomic nervous system. So that's what I was experiencing. That's what I was playing with. And then last year, a really interesting study came out in which I'll cite here, in the Frontiers of Neuroscience, which is where all the cool studies get published. And it was saying, there's so many mechanisms behind respiration. There's so many things that go on in terms of stretch receptors in your lungs and what's going on in your heart and what's going on in your brain. And it's just an incredibly, and then the oxygen, carbon dioxide fluctuate, all that stuff, incredibly complex process. But what this study said is essentially you can boil down that parasympathetic activation that happens with pranayama, with breathing, because of one major thing, and that is the sensations inside your nose. Right? That's exactly what it came down to. And I want to show you the mechanism that works with, because I don't know how to show you my screen on Facebook, so I apologize for the piece of paper here, but this structure called the olfactory bulb, which has nerve endings that go down into the top of your nasal cavity. So it's a part of your brain. Well, kind of a part, yeah, it is a part of your brain that is connected right to the top of the nasal cavity. What a fascinating structure. Do you know you have the 5 senses, right? Seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling, touching. All of the senses are mediated through a structure called your thalamus, except for the sense of smell, because it goes right up to your brain through this olfactory bulb, right? So that's one of the reasons. And by the way, the olfactory bulb was interacting with brain structures like the amygdala and the hippocampus that have to do with memories. So, you smell the fresh baked bed and you think about your grandmother. And those memories, can be associated with smells, can be associated with sensations that tune the nervous system towards that parasympathetic activation. This can happen. And what this study showed, that I'll put in the comments, is that that's the primary mechanism, is that olfactory bulb and awareness of sensations then start shifting you into. So it's about interoception. Like, that's what my practice was teaching me. And then in 2018, I'm like so grateful to these researchers who did this study and showed us, yeah, that's it. It's paying attention to the breath. It's all the things that the mindfulness people have been saying, that the yogis have been saying, is like, that attention to the breath is what really changes everything, what really helps us to regulate the nervous system, and correlates with emotional control and psychological well-being, according to this study. There was something else I wanted to say, and I don't remember exactly. I'm just looking at my notes here. You have comments? Oh, Cameron's here. For your information, I think the simple use of holding up paper images makes what you are discussing all the more appropriate. I say keep up with the simplicity. Thank you. Thank you, Cameron. I was like, this is such a good thing, it's like a really good image of it, isn't it? Like those little fibers there show you, wow, there it is, paying attention. Now, by the way, there are many, many different neurons in the olfactory bulb. It's really complicated stuff. I'm not, trying to simplify it, but the idea that there is this mechanism, that there are mechanoreceptors in the nasal vault. This is what the study says. Mechanoreceptors within the nasal vault translate slow breathing in a modulation of the olfactory bulb activity, which in turn tunes the activity of the entire cortical mantle, right? The entire cortical mantle changes, the entire cortex, in other words, can be shifted. That activity can be shifted and shifted towards this parasympathetic activity. So, it's again, it's like less is more and simple is profound. So those simple practices don't have to engage in these highly technical, complicated pranayama practices. Simple exploration of the sensations inside your nose is what is so powerful for health. Like I said, I'll put the reference for the study in the notes here. And if anybody has any questions, there's a few people on on the live stream. So if you have any questions, ask questions now. Otherwise, I'm going to wrap it up. And I will be writing about this too in my blog this week. So you can check out my blog. Yeah, we just moved. Can you tell? And my office is a little bit cleaner than it was a couple weeks ago, but it's still happening. So I'm still kind of trying to get things together here. And I'm in the middle of finishing up my textbook chapter for, it's an Elsevier book on the science of yoga. It's actually a medical textbook that I'm working on a chapter for. Oh my God. But thankfully, I have a science advisor who's writing it with me. And that's where I came across this research, and that's why I wanted to share it. And there's a ton of other interesting research out there that I hope to share over the coming weeks. So thank you so much for being here. I'm going to wrap it up for today. Feel free to leave comments or questions about this, though. And as I said, I'll put the citation there, and I'll see you next week. Namaste.